Now listen, you guys, I don't ask you for much, but I'm going to ask you for two things. And the first thing I'm going to ask you for is to watch this video in its entirety, because you need to see everything that is going on out here to get the complete story of what I'm trying to communicate. And I'm also going to ask that you do me a solid and share this, because we need to get the messaging out that this type of hate and this type of ignorance needs to stop.
In Target here in Texas, and I want you guys to see what is being sold in Target for our children.
It's not being sold to your children. It's being sold to allies of the LGBTQ community's children, and to those of us who are within the LGBTQIA+ plus community who also have families. Believe it or not, we do have families. And so that merchandise is intended to represent the underrepresented. It has nothing to do with trying to groom your children. The only time we're grooming your children is if we're doing their hair. This is another thing that gets me. You take your time. Like, what type of miserable do you have to be to get in your car? First of all, in the day and age of COVID-19, DoorDash, Instacart, Grubhub, and all of these delivery services that will bring things to me. Child, I'm not trying to leave my house unless I absolutely have to. I'm certainly not driving down to a local Target to make a hate video. Making a hate video under the guise that you're being attacked. How are you being attacked when you're punching someone else in the face? Make it make sense for me. Target is a public business that sells to the public. And I know it's hard for you to grasp that concept, but LGBTQIAP persons are a part of the public, okay? This is not a church. The LGBTQIAP plus community is not standing outside of your church. It's not standing outside of your schools. We're not going to where you worship and fellowship and protesting outside of it because we don't believe that you have a right to be you. It is you who believes that we don't have a right to be us. And girl, when you get it through your thick skull that you are never going to be able to tell me not to be me, then maybe we can have a conversation. But until you can respect the fact that what you believe and what I believe is completely different and that we have to coexist, girl, move around.
Okay? So they have a whole pride collection, not just for adults, but now it's being offered to children who don't even have a right to even stand for what is right. They're already pushing the agenda to our babies.
This word agenda really gets to me because I don't know what people think if we all have some sort of meeting that we attend so that we're all calibrating and all on the same page. If you're LGBTQIAP plus identified, there is no agenda outside of inclusion and representation.
They have this being proud, a pride outfit for a newborn baby. I just want y'all to see this. It's for kids. I want y'all to see what's going on. They got music. They got albums. They got albums for our children to listen to that talks about girls, liking girls, and closer, let's have a kiwi. This is for kids. This is for children.
Now, I don't know if she is visually impaired and she mistook a Target logo for a crucifix, but girl, Target is not the church. Target is a retail business, okay?
It ain't for adults, it's for children. And this is where we are spending our money, in a store that is pushing an agenda that is antichrist, that goes against God, and it is trying to defile and take our children. Listen, this enemy is after our seed.
She said they are coming for our seed. No, girl, we are not coming for your seed. We are running from your seed. Take a look at what your seed is out here doing. And while you're taking a look at what your seed is out here doing, I want you to pay close attention to the fact that there are no rainbow flags in sight.
A huge police response was called to Washington and Wabash, where crowds were seen fighting and blocking streets. 2 teenagers were shot in the midst of it all.
These events happened hours before curfew in public places where residents go to gather. But the groups, well, they became unsafe when they started flooding into the streets. You can see that regular weekend evening traffic was just trying to get by, but young people were coming from all ways, running from group to group through the streets. Police tried to manage traffic as kids were jumping on and kicking cars, even chasing after them. We even sent our own crew to the scene. They couldn't even get out of the vehicle because groups of people were surrounding the truck. And then gunfire. Just after 9 o'clock, one 16-year-old boy was shot in the arm.
But it's pride merchandise. That's the problem? Girl, I'm trying to tell you, sis, you are at the wrong location. We don't need you to be dispatched to Target, girl. Go out to the local neighborhoods, go to Boys and Girls Center, and actually have an impact in helping kids. Because you putting up a video on TikTok talking about a rainbow onesie isn't doing anything to help children.
And if we don't become vocal, and if we don't stand against this, they are going to destroy our seed. They're going to destroy the legacy of holiness and of righteousness and what God intended in the beginning of the earth for a man and a woman to produce children and for them to produce the same thing. Marriage is honorable, and it should be between a man and a woman.
And see, here's what I want people to understand. I believe that she has a right to believe everything that she just said. The problem is she doesn't believe that I have a right to believe what I believe. Does that make sense? Like, girl, if you believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, then go marry yourself a man. And I don't have a problem with that. Girl, send me an invitation. I will RSVP. Send me the registry. I'll send a gift. I don't have a problem with who you choose to love. The problem is you have a problem with who I choose to love. And the problem is, I don't give a damn about you having a problem because I'm going to continue to love who I want to love. And the fact that I refuse to conform to who you want me to be makes you upset. And now you're turning me refusing to capitulate into somehow being an agenda. It's not.
Not a man and a man, not between a woman and a woman, and it should not be passed down to our children.
Sis, I don't know if you know this or not, but sexuality is not hereditary, okay? It's not contagious. You cannot catch sexuality. You are who you are. And I assure you, a onesie isn't going to change that. But you know what is hereditary? Ignorance, or at least pathological.
I want you all to see this. 6 to 9 months. Just be you and feel the love. And this is where we have to stop. If we don't stand for something, we will fall for everything. We need to be vocal against this kind of stuff. All this small time stuff we fussing about that holds no kingdom weight, let's use our energies, let's use our voice, let's stand and boycott against every target that feels okay to carry this type of stuff.
I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And what you need to do is just mind your business. If it ain't bothering you, don't bother it. Just mind your business.
Pride cookies and kitchen ware and utensils. And look at this. Look. They're pushing.
That's me looking, girl. I'm looking and all I see is a beautiful, loving couple. Here's the thing that gets me. You drove past all of these churches to get to Target. Now, meanwhile, this is what's happening at church.
A damning report from Illinois' Attorney General shows that the sexual abuse of children by Catholic clergy was more common and less reported than previously thought.
Decades of Catholic leadership decisions and policies have allowed known child sex abusers to hide, often in plain sight.
The almost 600-page report focused on records and survivor interviews from each of the 6 dioceses in the state. It found 1,997 children have been victims of sexual abuse by clergy since 1950.
But you at Target upset about a onesie.
It also added the names of 149 additional abusers who had not previously been reported by church sources, bringing the total of credibly accused clergy in Illinois to 451.
And here's the thing about hate, right? While you're busy hating on one group, somebody is busy hating on you. And it's not the LGBTQIAP+ community.
So the name of this group is Christians Against the Little Mermaid, and there are almost 10,000 members in this group.
Later in the video, Becca goes on to highlight the group's one rule: no racism. But if you feel the need to act racist, keep it to a happy medium. And of course, the white Christians in that group took full advantage of their opportunity for happy medium racism. They shared everything from racist memes, racist jokes, white people in blackface, the list goes on and on. In the comments of that video, you'll see people saying, "I have no words. How could they call themselves Christian? How could they be so hateful?" This is your reminder that historically, white Christians have never had to separate their racism and bigotry from their religion. Some white Christians made efforts to do this, but they were in the slim minority. For white Christians, nearly every act of violence, bigotry, and hatred towards black people was biblically rationalized, meaning white Christians interpreted the Bible in such a way that not only gave space to the racism, but permitted it, sanctioned it. You can learn more about these intersections in Eric Wee's book, The Religion of White Supremacy in the United States. Remember, it was white Christians who used to attend lynchings on Saturdays and go to church on Sundays. White Christians in hoods used to gather around burning crosses and sing hymns. Given the history of racial violence carried out by white Christians, sharing racist memes in a Facebook group probably is a happy medium for them. This is one of many reasons why I continue to say that in the American context it is virtually impossible to separate white supremacy and Christian supremacy. The casting of Ariel as a black woman threatens white supremacist norms, and so white Christians feel it's their obligation to stand against it. And that is because whether they admit it or not, their religion is white supremacy. That is why they're extremely incensed about a black Ariel and utterly silent about white Jesus.
And that, my dear, is what you call the cycle of hate. And this is why people need to just simply learn to mind their own business, right? Watching this video about Ariel as a black trans woman made me feel away, because I totally believe that Halle Berry is going to do an amazing job. And not only is she capable of doing an amazing job, she has a right to play a mermaid. The problem, once again, is getting black people, not all black people, some people in general, but I'm talking specifically in this video to black people, to understand that we have to do better. I expect more from black people, right? I guess I put a greater sense of onus on the black community because we know our history. And knowing our history, I would think it would make us a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more empathetic, a little bit more compassionate when it comes to hating on other people. But outside of what you've been taught, okay? Knowing what your ancestors have gone through, why would you ever want to see anyone be oppressed, whether you agree with them or disagree with them, if they are not hurting or harming you, if they are not hurting or harming a vulnerable adult or child? Why would you want to see anyone be oppressed? My brain cannot comprehend why you just simply cannot mind your own business and agree to live and let live and allow God to be the judge. You don't have to do that work.